This hurricane is actually shifting a little bit more to the east. For those that haven't been paying attention, was actually talking to my buddy Stephen Garcia this morning on the phone, and they're expecting 75, 80 mile an hour winds in Tampa, and it's going by it. So it's actually probably, if anybody hadn't looked in a while, keep an eye on it. A lot of folks are going to be impacted by this. Resto Pros, of course, this is their purpose right here. This is what they're here for. So if you know anybody that goes through it, the fine folks of Bainbridge, Georgia, the hometown of John Strickland, have hurricane conditions on the way as well. John, our thoughts and prayers with your family, losing your uncle yesterday. It's going to be a difficult time for your family. We've been thinking about you, and we will be thinking about them while they go through this as well.
Yeah, the eye of the hurricane is basically going right over Bainbridge.
Yeah.
Michael tore through there. Tree fell on my parents' house last time, 5 or 6 years ago. But this one's not going to be as bad as Michael was, but still not going to be good. But my parents are, and brother and all the rest of my family down there are hunkering down, getting ready for it.
And dealing with the loss of your uncle all at one time. It's hey, you need anything, you let this community of people know, and we'll help you. You just tell us what you need, all right?
I think I'm probably heading down to Bainbridge either tomorrow or Saturday. So
well, take Flint with you. At our old house, we got hit by a hurricane and a tree fell in the backyard, and I said I was going to go out there, and Flint loves this stuff. He said, I'll come over and cut the tree up. I said, have at it, pal. So he showed up with his chainsaw.
When Michael hit years ago, my brother and all his buddies all grabbed their tractors and front end loaders, and we're going all over the streets and neighborhoods in Bainbridge, clearing the roads of down trees. So they actually had fun doing it.
I'm the same way. I will go out and help my community in a hurry. I've got the chainsaw all oiled up and gassed up just in case and everything. So hopefully everybody is able to escape as much unscathed as they can be. Well, Mike, good morning or afternoon. Mike's going to go through it as well in Atlanta. But, Mike's in the penthouse suite. That thing's built out of unbelievable brick and mortar. He won't.
I don't know about all that. They don't make them like they used to, Jamie. Anybody who's in construction can tell you they do not. If you've got an old CBS house, then you're feeling as good as you can. But the way they build some of these houses now, I don't know how many of us are completely safe of
JC, you'll have to tell us. You need to tell us. Go ahead. Tell us Mike's story here, because I've never been to Mike's house. From what I'm told, though, he is on the highest. He's up so high. He could probably see the hurricane right now in the Gulf, can't you, Mike?
No. His back porch, yeah. He's up in the he's like Swiss Family Robinson. He lives in a treehouse almost. But it's up there. There's owls and hawks and stuff that just fly by and look at you. It's like
it's city living without feeling like you're in the city. Because
I tell you could actually have the opening number from a children's musical up there. Mike walks out, throws the curtains open, and a cartoon bird goes by. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, my friends. We are happy here in the trees.
He's got his white robe on.
I love that. God, that'd be great if I could wake up to that every morning. That would be fit. I love nature.
There is one.
Honey, mix my greens, honey. There
is one weather thing when Michael's out of town, so I walk outside and it's raining like cats and dogs in Atlanta, and the whole back of it's all flooded, like the water is arising, and I'm like, this doesn't look good. It's about 1 o'clock, and I'm out there in my bathrobe drinking beer because I was off that day. And I'm like, so I call Mike. I'm like, hey, should I get the flotation device out? Red and Baxter we're all here. And we're a little concerned. He's like, nah, don't worry about it. Next thing you know, the water's gone. It's continued to rain. Apparently, so the creek behind the house has a drainage system. Yes. And all they do is open the door and the creek drains back down into this underground tunnel. And the waters recede. I had no idea. No idea such a thing existed. So that was in Atlanta.
They added it.
Weather-related thing. But Atlanta sometimes does have weather. I mean, you remember the SEC basketball tournament got moved to Georgia Tech a couple of years ago because a tornado hit the Georgia Dome.
I was there for that. I was about an hour away from getting hit by debris. Yeah.
Atlanta gets weird weather. Like they'll get hit by a hurricane, and then coming up here in about 3 months, right around Christmas, are going to get hit by like a 6-inch deep ice storm.
That's right. Well, it's a 10-year anniversary of the ice storm where
shut everything down.
My goodness, so embarrassing. We have a string of just nimwits for mayors in Atlanta, like so many big cities. The way mayors are elected is kind of comical, and they don't represent the better of the city, let's just say. So this guy, I mean, you had Al Roker on national television telling the world Atlanta was going to be hit by an ice storm. Ice is worse than snow. I'll take snow's nothing. I've lived in snow.
Yeah.
Ice is terrible. And so we had, they didn't salt the roads. So I was working for the sports radio station here in town at the time, and I did the afternoon show. And I remember watching this on the TV, and the program director comes down the hall and says, guys, you're not going anywhere. Like, you can't get out. People are literally parked on you had Atlanta Braves players that were parked on I-75, unable to move. And you had people sleeping in their cars. You had people using the gasoline to heat their cars until they ran out of gasoline. So needless to say, the morning show guys, they couldn't get in the next morning. So we literally slept in recliners in the studio that night, woke up 5 a.m. and did the morning show in Atlanta that day before there was enough road sanity where you could drive home. But you were stranded in the middle of a city of about 7.5 million people in the infinite wisdom to not ice the roads the day before. I mean, it would have been an easy. So we were the laughing stock of America, if not the world at that point.
Oh, I remember that.
It just embarrassing.
It was pretty embarrassing.
We get everything. We get tornadoes. We get storms.
It was during the middle of recruiting, and like everybody recruits Atlanta. There were like 16 coaches stuck on 285. Visiting high schools. So I got a earful of that. Nashville is probably the one place I've lived that has the worst weather.
Nashville's got bad weather.
It floods. It's in Tornado Alley. There's mudslides because of the hills.
She touched my leg.
Our pets' heads are falling off. I mean, it is that's the one. Nashville's such a great place, but now it's crowded and the weather's just unpredictably weird.
Arkansas and Oklahoma are on line too.
Yeah. Hello.
None of us have lived in those places, but I can tell you, being there a bunch and actually knowing people that live in both states, that is the ultimate wow. They have the worst luck with weather. It's never good. Remember the Gamecocks played in a baseball game there. This was 99. It was the year before I took over, and they had to stop playing because of snow in like April. So it can be 80 and sunny in Fayetteville, and literally the next day it'll snow. And then the next day after that, it'll be a 5-day monsoon. Oklahoma has the winds that are just like relentless. For those Gamecock fans that are going to Norman this year, there's a lot of cool places to go. And I can tell you a couple of restaurants, but don't be surprised if it's really windy, because that's just normal for Oklahoma. They don't have any mountains or anything.
Tornado Alley.
Tornado Alley.
My aunt and uncle live in Oklahoma City, and at their house, last time I was there, they took me into the garage and my uncle showed me. They have a bunker built into the ground, and there's a sliding metal door in the floor of the garage to get in that weather bunker. That's how crazy the weather is
Twister.
out there.
Yeah, it's like a movie scene, right, John?
Yep.
In case Red Dawn happened.
Well, my father-in-law living in Laramie, Wyoming. My brother-in-law, same thing in Cheyenne. They go down in the ground when it gets bad out there. It's kind of freaky to think about.
I just can't take the cold out there. Beautiful country, as I finally got to examine, and as you well know, Jamie, having family out there, but I couldn't take a winter living out there.
I've been out there in the winter. It is freaking cold.
You've been out there for a week.
Yeah.
But imagine for 5 months.
Yeah,
I mean, and I didn't, to JC's credit, I remember when he told me he's moving to Chicago, I was like, brother, give it one winter and I'll see you back here in Atlanta.
He's still there.
He's still there.
Hey,
who knew?
Hey, you've seen my wife. You've all met her.
I know, I was taking one for the team.
Right.
But you also, I mean, I feel like you kind of have embraced it. It's not just
Mike,
that. You've embraced the winter.
For those that don't know Mike well, and most of you do, he grew up in South Florida. So Mike's very, like, if it's in the 60s, Mike's got a windbreaker on. That's just
I lived in Virginia for several years.
Well, I know, but most
80s.
people that are like
Members
Palm Beach
only
County
jacket.
is, if it's cool, it's a little, So Mike's got a little.
He's
I'm
got a
more like
matching jumpsuit.
if it's 6, if it's in the 60s or 50s,
Christmas
and sunny,
vacation
I'm
style.
wearing shorts. I get real hot, So I totally like.
Mike wakes up, walks on his 48th floor. Balcony,
up there, the atmosphere, it's
shiny blue Nike
cooler.
jumpsuit.
That's right. Walks back inside and says, "Nope, inside today,
honey. It's under
inside
70
today.
Turn
That's
the heat on."
Winter travel is the worst. I mean, that's even in the even in the SEC. Like when you're traveling January, February, there's always delays. There's always problems. There's always some road broken down because of snow or ice, and it's just like and everybody's sick, and you're sitting on people next to planes, and they're coughing right on you, and there's phlegm in the air, and all this. I mean, it's just the worst. But it is what it is. It is.
John,
what it is.
Do you want to talk some ball today, or do you want to stay on the topic of weather?
Hey, whatever y'all want to do.
He wants to talk about Bainbridge climate. Which, Tallahassee is right in the crosshairs, and Bainbridge.
Yeah, they're going to get smoked.
How far are you from Tally, John?
45 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be I tell you, let's do this then, John. It's 12:17. We're going to have to hit a break anyway, so let's just get it out of the way. When we return, we'll turn our attention to the Gamecocks, but also want to talk to you about this Ole Miss Kentucky game this weekend. We need to be watching this thing at noon, and probably the stiffest competition that the Rebels will have seen thus far, and see what Kentucky looks like coming off of the losses against Carolina and Georgia, et cetera. So Big John is with us as long as he wants to be here. He knows that. Mike's here for the rest.
Probably 12:45, maybe.
That sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah.
And Mike and Matt are here. The Golden Boy, everybody knows. All right, let's hit a quick timeout. Gamecock Traditions presents Inside the Gamecocks, the show. We will be right back.
Hey, Gamecock fans, Mike Morgan here. During my time in Columbia, one of my favorite places to eat was Salsaritas. When I go back now for work or any other reason, it's still Salsaritas. Yeah, I'm like you. I love tacos. I love Tex-Mex. Where are you going to go to get them? Well, you've got two convenient Salsaritas locations, one in Lexington at the Target Center and one in West Columbia as well. Now, if you like tailgating, and who doesn't? Whether it's for a football game or anything else, they've got the catering hotline. Get yourself some Fiesta packs to take tailgating. Get yourself the Three Amigos bundles for tailgating. They make catering easy with a fresh, hot setup. And again, you just call the phone number 803-543-6297 to set it up. You can also look them up online, or you can even download the app. Salsaritas is just a cut above the rest. That's why they're serving Williams-Brice Stadium and the South Stands, also serving in the Colonial Life Arena. Again, that catering hotline number, make it easy for you and the folks out there. You don't need to settle for sandwiches every time. 803-543-6297. 803-543-6297.
There's nothing like Saturday in South Carolina. However you enjoy Gamecock football, Gamecock Traditions has a long-standing legacy of being a part of your game day. From tailgates to touchdowns, Gamecock Traditions has what you need and want with our beloved Block C logo. Get into Gamecock Traditions in Lexington or the Village at Sand Hill, or visit GamecockTraditions.com and have it shipped to your doorstep. We look forward to taking care of your family. Go Gamecocks.
I'm not allowed to tell the ref how bad he is, so I'm going to need you to do that for me.
Is your go-to agent anywhere in South Carolina, North Carolina, or Georgia for the service you deserve at the price you want. So try combining your home, life, auto, and or small business insurance today. Tony Pope State Farm has been in business for more than 30 years and can handle anything you need in the tri-state area. 843-851-2222 or visit TonyPope.com today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Nana's Porch, nanasporch.com. At Nana's Porch, they cater weddings, parties, and all kinds of special events. Their meals are served buffet style, and seconds, they're encouraged. Plus, they can bring their mobile food unit to bring on-site and serve your guests as a unique alternative for your catering needs. Inquire about rentals as well. nanasporch.com. Find them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. 336-259-7550. Show built by the Barndo Co. Again, thoughts and prayers to everybody that is going through Hurricane Helene. And up there in the mountains, people forget about them. Their Brevard right now is expected to get up to 30 inches of rain. They can't hold it, so it's going to be a lot of flooding in that area. It's going to be bad. And anybody here in South Carolina that's affected by it, Resto Pros is who you want to call. Resto Pros Midlands SC.com. Hey, John, real quick before we dive into football, that tailgater shirt that you were wearing, the Johnny O one with all the designs on it.
Yep.
I'm ordering that from Gamecock Traditions. I freaking love that thing. When I saw you in it, I thought, you know what? I think I need to get that same shirt.
You said that's a good looking man, is what you said.
No, well, I did.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, no, I
Keep
love
my
that
paws
shirt.
off.
When I first saw it, I was like, yeah, I got to have that. And then I wore it to maybe all the home games so far. And every time I got it on, somebody's like, damn, I like that shirt.
Dude, it's awesome. I was looking at it yesterday on Gamecock Traditions, and I thought, you know, I couldn't decide between the white one or the garnet one, but I'm going to go with the white one.
Yeah, it's great shirt. They're not cheap, but
no,
great shirt.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget it is a garnet out for Ole Miss. So if you want to,
I got plenty of garnet. Yeah,
like JD and John, get you a garnet one from.
I may need to go grab a garnet one. So yeah, I may have to do that.
All right. Well, John, Ole Miss is next week. Carolina has got the off week this week. Shane got them out of there early, so they're not practicing today or tomorrow or Saturday. I think they'll be back in on Sunday. So we'll do this for the fourth time because I just love hearing the different responses to the same question. Week 1 offense versus week 4 offense. What you got for us?
Big improvement. You know, I even said preseason, I thought we'll see this team be a better running team. You know, last year averaging 85 yards a game is not a winning recipe. I think as of today, we're 191 yards average per game. I know the Kentucky game, you know, wasn't great. I think we were around 80, but I did say that that Kentucky front seven is probably as good as you'll see the entire year. But yeah, no, I thought it has slowly progressed. It's gotten better and better each game. Still go back to the LSU game. I don't think if Lenoris gets hurt, I mean, he was beating LSU with his legs and arms in that game. And you could just see how much he had grown from that Old Dominion game to that LSU game before he got hurt. And then Ashford, you know, some people were worried, oh, man, we got the backup quarterback, all that. I wasn't worried at all about Robbie Ashford. I watched him during the preseason. He's looked good. He's a great runner. And he does have a lively arm. He can sling the pigskin. So I've been pretty happy overall. Need to cut down on the sacks. You know, obviously after that first game, I came on here and told y'all I saw 2 missed assignments that caused sacks, and the tight ends got beat on some sacks. So that was kind of the issue. The first game, we had some tight end miscues on sacks in the second game. Then LSU game, I know we got sacked a lot. I think 4 or 5 times, but I think there was a little bit of a combination of the quarterback holding the ball a little too long on a couple of those sacks. But yeah, no, I thought it's been good overall. We got to clean up mistakes in pass pro.
Yeah, a couple of things here. If it wasn't for sacks, by the way, Carolina would be very close to eclipsing the 1,000-yard mark on the ground already through 4 games. That is really good, number one. Number two, I mentioned this to Perry in the last segment. Carolina has toted it 68.5% of the time, John. And he said that he doesn't anticipate, nor does he feel like that number should come down and balance itself out, even with Lenoris and Robbie getting a little bit more comfortable throwing the football, receivers kind of cleaning some things up. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You have 2 very athletic quarterbacks, whichever one's in there, that are great runners with the ball. They know how to read the holes. They can make a guy miss. Just go back and look at the past, basically all the games. So I think you're going to see a run-heavier offense, and especially with the way the offensive line is playing and run blocking right now. They're playing pretty darn good. And then you throw in Rocket. Hopefully we got him healthy for next week. The off week couldn't come at a better time. Let's be real. Yeah. I don't foresee. I foresee us being more run than we are pass, probably throughout the year. Seems to be the strength of the offense right now.
Yeah, I'd say so. What does that say about Dowell Loggins and how he has taken this offense from what it was designed to be under Spencer Rattler and virtually zero of an offensive line last year, and to what he's made it this year with the weapons he has at quarterbacks? That obviously different styles and all that stuff, right? So what's it say about the OC?
Well, I talked about in the preseason. You're going to play to your strengths, and that's what they were figuring out during the preseason. And they kind of know, hey, this is probably our strength. You got a dual threat guy at quarterback, and the offensive line is playing really well. So it just tells you that Dow knows what the hell he's doing, and he's playing to the strengths of what we have in this offense. And, I think that just speaks volumes.
To that point, guys, we talked about this, and I can't remember who was here and who was not, but I had Phil look it up. Where was South Carolina ranked last year, run-pass ratio? Because I thought Carolina had a chance to lead the league this year. I thought that was kind of going to be the MO, and the bet gives Carolina the best chance of winning. Last year, South Carolina was 56% pass, number one. The number one pass-to-run ratio team in the league. The number one run-to-pass ratio in the league was Alabama. Worked out pretty well for the Tide as they won the SEC.
And Georgia had to be up there too.
Yeah, and Alabama had Jalen Milroe running the ball too, just like South Carolina has a dual threat guy.
Yeah, right. It's very comparable between the two with the players you have in this offense. So there's really no surprise to me.
Here's something for you on the kind of the negative end. South Carolina, penalties and lost yardage plays, including sacks and negative, according to the stats from the SID, 464 yards when you combine those things in 4 games. It's over 100 yards a game,
right? Combining
penalties and lost yardage plays.
That's right.
When they talk about cleaning things up, and that's kind of good news because that's kind of just like, hey, do better. It's not like you're getting overwhelmed out there. That's 100 yards per game.
All of that's fixable too.
Yeah,
this is
no
all
doubt.
Fixable stuff. This is not a talent thing. This is not whatever else. These are just mistakes that can get cleaned up, and you just keep getting better and better.
That's exactly right. JC, and that was one of the things that we talked about going into last weekend's ball game, and a little bit earlier this week, I mentioned, hey, look, there's a couple of things offensively, third down conversions. You're going to have to get a little bit better than 30%. That's not going to cut it against some of the better teams in this league. The penalties, those things, John, to your point, they can get cleaned up. The sacks, not all on the offensive line. This is John, we have the same conversation every week. It is not all on those guys, but hopefully this off week gives them a chance to get the other little things that contribute to that high number, which is 16. You start to trim down on that, trim down on penalties, and you're moving the ball forward, they're going to put points on the board.
100%. Yep. I think that's a big thing. It's just all these small little things you have to clean up. And I said, I told y'all this on here in preseason. Defense was going to have to carry the offense first quarter of the season, first third of the season, and they have. If it wasn't for some refereeing and some turnovers by the quarterbacks in the LSU game, you're sitting here 4-0.
Hey John, real quick, when you played football at the highest level, you awesome at South Carolina, awesome as a high school player. But when you got to college and you got to the NFL, are the coaches in the locker room actually talking about the third down numbers? Or are you seeing 30% and they're saying, hey, we want a certain number, or is it more, what do we got to do to clean this up? We got to fix this.
That is, you don't talk to the players. Oh man, we're only at 30% on third down. That never comes up, ever. Never comes up. That's not something coach talks to players about. All they talk about is executing and how do we execute it right. Coaching. There's never any number talk when it comes to coaching players. It's just the number stuff is for the TV guys, the media, and all that mess.
Guys like Mike. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's never talked about during a game, ever.
Yeah.
To the other side of the ball here.
By the way, I'm not saying coaches don't talk to coaches about it, but the coaches coaching the players, there's nothing about numbers.
So I say that more to say, and JB, I know you're going to get to a point here, but say that more to say, like, we're analysts, we're fans, we talk. We can only cling to the things that we can understand. What we can understand is black and white on paper. But, at the same time, like, players don't need to be focused on that. I never thought, oh man, I'm 1 for 7 from 3. I'm going to stop shooting. Like, that thought never came into my head.
I did. I have no business taking 7 3-pointers in a game.
Well, the only thing that would stop me from shooting is coach taking me out of the game and not letting me shoot.
Right. Yeah.
You're a chucker. Hey, you're that guy.
I think that John,
basketball is a little bit different. All right. So I played basketball too. And, I played basketball from the age of 5 all the way through high school. My high school team, we went to the Final Four in Georgia, and back then was the biggest region,
that was huge,
biggest classification in high school. So basketball, there is a little more like, all right, you're allowed to shoot. Like, that's why you're on the court. This is your position. But hey, you're cold tonight. You're cold tonight. So, maybe don't just keep firing up because you're already missed so many and you've only hit one or whatever. That does happen a little bit in basketball. But football-wise, there's no numbers. It's not like, hey, quarterback, man, you're only 7 for 15. You're at 47% passing. Don't throw this. No, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, somebody said I was a volume scorer in the church league. You dang right I was. Anyway, John, are you concerned about blitz pickup? I've been harping on that a little bit. When other teams blitz, and it's not all the line like you pointed out. I mean, what can they do to get that corrected? That just seems like a big deal. Guys have their head down a little bit, not looking. Preston Thorne mentioned you the other day on my interview on 107.5 about that, and just take us through that, like how offensive line specifically, but everybody to become more aware when other teams loaded up, because Golding's going to blitz. Brent Venables is definitely blitzing, and I believe Kane Womack will send pressure as well for Alabama.
I mean, blitzing is all communication. I mean, that it's as simple as that. It's all communication. So let's say, I'm the center. I got my left guard, my left tackle over here, right? So once we get up to the line, we know the play. I'm making the calls on who's got who. That's how I make the calls. And then the running back knows after my calls and who I'm pointing out to my linebacker, our side linebacker, play side linebacker, to where we're calling whatever the play is on a pass play, because you're typically going to have, that's how it works. And that's going to determine by which side of the running back, which side of the quarterback he's lined up on. So basically, we have these 3 guys. The right guard, right tackle have these 2 guys. the running back knows he has this side linebacker, and then if you got a tight end, he knows blah, 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 blah. That's how it goes. When you start getting twists and stunts, okay, when you see, let's just say the left guard, left tackle, the end slants in, all right? So the end slants in, and he's slanting in hard. Well, that left tackle has to just muscle up and try and slam that guy down to the left guard. And then he has to be calling switch. That's all he's got to do, yelling out switch. And then the left guard, he's got to kind of see that guy that's not rushing. So his eyes, as soon as he sees that guy pick his hand up and start looping out, he should be attacking the D end. His head should go straight to where that defensive end is out there and slam that with the tackle. And then the tackle peels off and picks up the twisting defensive tackle. And then you have the center there that's there to help, but is also watching that linebacker in case he tries to come through, another gap to fill the void, with that twist. So, I mean, it's just all comes down to communication and being smart up here. It's all in your head.
And that a lot of that comes down to reps.
These are all things that are easy to clean up. It's all teachable stuff. Guys just got to go do it.
How about the break here for an offensive lineman, especially when you have a young one, a guy like Josiah or something like that? And let's all remind ourselves there are 4 new starters on this offensive line this year, and they have played better than pretty much anything we saw last season. Now that you get an off week, so you're not preparing for a game, what does that do to their brains? Like, how is that maybe affecting them and allowing some of this to soak in to help get things cleaned up before they play again next Saturday?
Well, during the off week, they definitely did some Ole Miss prep this week. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They probably did a little bit, but on an off week is just a really good teaching week. Clean all the stuff up you've seen. So for the O lineman, you're going back and you're looking at, all right, what can I do better in this scenario or that scenario, or what I need to do with this scenario? So this is just a great teaching week. I mean, I actually, as a player, you do kind of hate on off week, but it's a great opportunity to get better another week, and knowing you have a whole nother week before that to prepare. So that was kind of always my mindset on an off week, is you just got to clean the stuff up, clean the calls up and everything, just to get better. But that's definitely what they did this week. And they probably worked on some Ole Miss stuff this week.
Hey, John, really quick. On that note, I think about, wide receivers. And if you're thinking you're 2 steps behind, you got to play fast,
Yep.
You got to react, you got to go. Quarterback, you got to trust your instincts, got to let it rip when you see the opening. It seems like on the offensive line, there's a heck of a lot to think about. Does it ever get instinctual where it's muscle memory like it is at other positions?
Yeah, I mean, once you do something over and over and you see stuff over and over, yeah. I mean, it's just like anything in life. The more you do something, the more routine it becomes. So, yes, 100%. Repetitions make you better.
Real quick here, and then I know we got to get you out here in just a couple of minutes. On the defensive side of the football, we're going to give Kyle Kennard a little love fest here. And it translates to what we've seen on the field. I watched him 2 days ago, interview with Paul Feinbaum. He was asked about being like the face of the program and the heart and soul of the defense and all these things. And he deflected and he said, you're not really. I mean, if you want to call somebody that, how about TJ Sanders? How about Boogie Huntley? How about Tonka Hemingway? Who's up for a major award, by the way, which was announced yesterday. These guys who've been here, they're the heart and soul. I'm just here kind of filling in the guy. I love being here. He deferred everything to his teammates. And then you look out west and you have Barry Alexander, who quit on his football team yesterday because he's not getting enough snaps, maybe because he's not good enough. And they're saying, well, we were promised more than this, so we're going to redshirt and quit. This is what Carolina's got. They got a kid who's deferring. That tells me all I need to know about this football program where it is right now. But how does that affect? Like, there's a lot of that on this defense, John. Think about it. Think how many transfers are over there contributing. Linebacker, for instance, DeAndre Jules. But then you got a lot of dudes who have played a ton of football here at South Carolina, a lot of experience. I think we got 8 games left, man. And I really, truly still feel like in the bottom of my heart that this defense hasn't even reached their peak. and they've had 2 games where they've held opponents under 200 yards. I think that they are still getting better, and to me, that's kind of a scary thought for opponents.
Yeah, I mean, this is my number one thing I bragged on during the offseason was how good this defense was going to be and all the leadership. I didn't know a lot about Kyle Kennard, but I knew a lot about the other guys that are back on this defense, like the Boogie Huntleys, the Devos, on and on and on. So you just knew what kind of leadership you had, and you knew how good they were, and talent-wise on this defense is insane. It really is. And to have a guy like Kyle Kennard and him to say that, I didn't even hear him say that. I mean, that just speaks volumes of how tight-knit I feel like this group of players are. I mean, I told y'all before the season started that, we got like 11 sacks last year as a defense. I told y'all we would be close to that through the first 4 games. And, well, we're over it. We're at 14 on the year. And I said over the season, I told you I thought we'd get around 30 sacks on the year. Well, we're way over pace on 30. I mean, we're creeping up on, 40-something sacks on the year. So I'm not surprised at all by what this defense is doing, and I think the leadership continues to show.
Well,
yeah. Kyle Kennard, Clowney's record's 13. Kyle is on pace to break that.
I'm not going to talk about it till he gets to 10.
I'm already talking about it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Jake. What are you
I'm
talking
not
about?
trying to
What are you talking
jinx
about?
him.
I'm not talking about anything. He's going to sack Jackson Dart 6 times alone next week.
They better.
Right.
I've been
If you
sitting
give
here.
that guy all day, it's not good.
I've been sitting here looking at Ole Miss's weapons on offense, and I'm like, oh my God.
So what do you, John? I mean, this is the final question. We'll get you out of here. I know you got 1 minute. Obviously, the Ole Miss offense, Judas Wells and those guys. But Kentucky and Ole Miss play at noon on Saturday on ABC. Deeper than that, you're a football dude. You see it differently than everybody else. What will you be looking for in this game that you're going to try to relate to how South Carolina will prepare for the Rebels next week?
I'm going to be watching their front 7 versus Ole Miss's offensive line. That's what I'm going to be watching because we're going to have to score some points. As good as our defense is, Ole Miss has a really good offense. So I want to see what their offense looks like against a stout Kentucky defense. And that's going to be one of my points in how I can translate it to what I think our defense can do to slow them down. So that's going to be my number one thing I'm going to be very interested in this game is Kentucky's front 7 versus the Ole Miss offensive line. I want to see how the Ole Miss offensive line performs, see how much pressure they can put on Jackson. And I think that'll kind of give us an idea. And they're coming to our house. They're getting to play at home there, but they're coming to our house. So I think that's just going to be something I'm going to be intrigued on because I've said it. Kentucky's probably got the best front 7 we'll see all year. So I want to see how they play against this high-powered offense. I think that's the matchup of the week to watch.
Very interesting. That's what I'll be tuning into, too, now that you said it. A pair of top 12 defenses in this contest on Saturday. Kentucky, the 6th-ranked defense in college
football. Ole Miss
football.
Hasn't played anybody with an offense. So
they have not.
I don't really count.
Do they still do this, John?
Stand.
They still run around with this little shark on top of their head?
Shark fin? Who knows? Okay.
Mike, are they still the land sharks?
If you go through their tunnel or whatever, they still have like all the shark decorum. So they don't. That was kind of a Hugh Freeze thing, but it's still left over for a lot of fans, and it's still decorated in the bowels of Vaught Hemingway Stadium.
Okay. John, we will be thinking about your family, obviously with the loss of your uncle. And so thoughts and prayers with you on that end. And then because your family, of course, located in Bainbridge, Georgia, right in the heart of where Hurricane Helene is headed, we'll be thinking about them. And you call me, tell me whatever we can do to help. We'll be there to help.